Hey guys, it's Brandon. So I've almost made this video a few times over the years, and I just never do because I always feel like it's bragging. I feel like it just comes across that way, but that's not what it's about. I mean, it could be, if I just wanted it to be only that. But it's a deeper moral. The moral behind it is just because life sucks doesn't mean it can't become amazing. And the path that everybody thinks is the path to happiness, so many people are just naive. They're chasing a dream. And I'm somewhat spoiled in the regard of I got to live vicariously, very close proximity to a bunch of different people chasing some really big dreams and were successful. Like neighbor people had private jets, my family, and they used to have me drive their dog back and forth so that the dog wouldn't get sick on the private jet. I get to ride on the private jet too when the dog passed away, and I became really good friends with the people. And even before that, when I used to go on vacation with them. So I mean, I've gotten to, be around the dream. I've chosen the hard way in life quite a few times, and every time I've done it, every time I've chosen the hard way, it ends up I'm happy. I'm happy with the choice, even though I sit there and ask myself, why do I put myself through this shit? So a little backstory. So there were a lot of really hot chicks in my high school. There was 400 kids in a graduating class, and almost 2,000 kids in the high school, basically 1,600 kids. And out of all those people, my grade, the grade below me, and the grade above me, there were maybe 6 chicks who I would have dated who were the top as far as my tastes are concerned. There were maybe 6 girls I would have dated, and personality factored into that. There were girls where everybody's like, "Oh my God, that girl's so hot," and I'm like, "She's an idiot. I can't stand her." So a girl had to be a sweetheart. I had to believe she was going to be a good mom. And you're going to think I'm bragging or that I'm being full of myself, but I really genuinely had a chance at one point or another with each of these 6 chicks, basically. I had a green light with all 6 of them over the years. And some of them I dated after high school, okay? But neither here nor there. I was a virgin through high school on purpose because I grew up in a super religious family, and my family was just nasty. My mom's side of the family, they were all super judgmental against me. They were just super kind of jealous in a weird way. It's hard to explain. There's a lot of little factors. My mom's dad, he was really anti-schooling, anti-college. And here I was doing well at school. And then I went to Purdue, mechanical engineering, and was Dean's List my first semester there. And just different things like this. But the point is, they were always just giving me a hard time, and I was always trying to be like the golden boy, live up to everybody's expectations. And subliminally, I knew if I started dating one of these chicks that we were going to make a lot of babies. This is going to be like bunny rabbits, okay? So that could have been one avenue of my life, but instead I exerted the super self-discipline, and I'm like, let's just get through this. And I had a lot of drama at home that I was really ashamed of with my parents. And I was like, let's just get out of here, get on our feet, go to school, go to college, get great grades. And because I never got straight A's in high school, I would get A's in the really tough classes like physics and the high maths and stuff like that. But I wouldn't get straight A's. There'd be classes where it's they'd give you this busy homework, and I just didn't have time. So it's if I couldn't copy off my friend and get his homework before or after class, I just didn't give a fuck. I just get a 0 on that assignment. That's just how I was, because I was so busy with other things I didn't care. I didn't really care about GPA, even though I had a good GPA. But when it came test time, like SAT, ACT, I destroyed people, okay, with math and science. But neither here nor there. As far as what is the moral of this video, where's it going? All through my 20s, I would date a girl for a year, 2 years, 3 years, something along those lines. It was always a long-term relationship to an extent. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't one night stand stuff. because I always had to believe in my mind I have to see myself settling down with a girl if I'm going to start dating her, because if I get her pregnant, I want to be, it's somebody that I'm going to stick around with. So through my 20s, around the time, it was right around 2010 or 11, right in there, I met a girl. She's a couple years older than me. She already had a kid or two. She was awesome. She was married, and she was friends. She became friends with another girl who I started to pursue in the beginning, but then she just got out of a relationship. I just gotten out of a relationship. So it's like, let's just be friends. You know, that's really where it was. It's like, let's just run the town together as friends. And if you see a guy you like, cool. And, you know, I'm going to flirt with the girls, but we're going to be like each other's wingmen. So that was Soka, okay? The girl that I'm talking about right now, who was like my wingman. And Soka became like my best friend. And Soka was an Asian girl who spoke like an American. So I'm going to try to show you photos as we go through this so you can kind of understand what's going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to the end, because otherwise you're going to be like, this guy's just bragging about all the girls he's dated. Da, 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 da. I'm going to skip to the end where the story ends up. I'm going to hopscotch. It gets to the point where everything builds your confidence a little bit. You don't realize how insecure you are until your confidence is built, and then you look back and you're like, boy, I was an idiot. It got to the point where I was Airbnb-ing my place in Florida, and I had these gorgeous girls, blonde girls from Hungary, move in with me. I'm not a big blonde guy, but these girls were gorgeous. They were beautiful, beautiful girls, and very not into drugs, very sensible, very highly educated. The one girl lost both of her parents, and she never told me that. She lost both of her parents, and she grew up, in my opinion, wealthy, like well off, and lost both of her parents and didn't have anything. And the other girl, I don't want to say she was a ding-dong, but she wasn't all there like the other girl was. The other girl, the sharp one, she kept coming back. And she eventually asked me if I would marry her, but it wasn't in a romantic way. We'd never even slept together. It's just we had a good relationship. And she trusted me, and she wanted papers. She wanted to stay in the United States. And she had made friends. Okay, so there's back before COVID, especially back in like between 2012 and 2018, life was really good. Okay, my life was really good. You're just going to think I'm bragging, but I'm not. I'm telling you that I'm very thankful for the opportunities that I've had. I'll put this into perspective. You're not going to believe the story, but I swear to God it's true. And I'll show you the girls to make it all true. So, hang on, let me pull up the photos here. So, first thing we got to do is find some pictures of Soka. Where the heck's Soka at? Soka's cool as hell. Okay, so there's Soka and Tiffany, okay? And so, even though Soka's Asian and everything, she was very sharp. And she's a really good people person. So, we all had a good time together, okay? So, we used to run around town together. Here's another girl I used to hang out with. She's tall. She's about 5'11", okay? And then eventually I ended up taking these other girls to Florida when we were all just friends. You can see how tall this girl is. I'm 5'11", 6 foot, and you can see this chick here is taller than me when she puts her heels on, which I didn't mind. I loved a tall chick. So let me show you that girl on the beach so you can see what I'm saying. Okay, so this is all before 2011. So this is when things weren't that good yet. Okay, and I'll show you another photo of her because Okay. So I took her and another girl down as friends down to South Beach. And my family starts getting really jealous because I'm just running around with all these hot chicks. And my family, on my stepdad's side of the family, they used to apparently like to joke around that I was going to be gay or something because I was very super willpower when it came to hot chicks. So they liked to make it out that that there was something wrong with me or something, when in reality, I was extremely attracted to girls and, just knew it was going to be bad news. Okay, this is, we used to have these firework parties. There's a bunch of girls, okay? Everybody wanted to come to my fireworks party because I lived up in a big high rise, okay? And it was right in front of the fireworks. So, let's see here again. That's the girl that was with Soka, and that's Tiffany. Anyhow, and you might know some of these people. They're all good people. I never dated Tiffany or anything like that. And I never dated Soka. Soka was just my friend. But you can see it was... and so I was just friends. So anyway, I was dating the girl I'd be dating, and then I'm friends with the rest. And so... let's see. After 2011, I ended up getting a catamaran race boat. Let's see here if I can show you a photo of it. It was a Spectra 30-foot. It'd go $130. It had three 2.5 EFI motors in the back. And I don't have any good photos of it there. So I had started my own business down in Florida. I was doing my own thing. And when I walked away from my family business because they quote unquote fired me over nothing, and there was way more to it. They wanted me out of there so that they could try to get the stock back, which my great grandma was bequeathing me, and it is what it is. I didn't want the stock because I knew it was too much drama. So I was happy to go do my own thing, and I just wanted to stay friends with my family. I didn't want to. Anyway, so Marie was one of the girls that I would have dated in high school. And I don't mean this in a mean way, but out of looks, Marie was probably out of the 6 girls, I mean, this is a compliment to Marie, because out of the 6 hottest girls in my high school, Marie was one of the people I would have dated. But when you look at Marie, you might say, oh, she's not that hot compared to these other girls you're showing. But Marie had a really cool personality. So there's Marie, okay? We're up on a roof with Snoop Dogg. Where this video is going is, just because we're going through bad times doesn't mean there's Snoop Dogg and Marie, okay? Just because we're going through bad times, and I agree the world's going through some shit times right now, I've been through personally some really, really bad times in my life, okay? And I'm telling you guys, this website, this technology I have, and how quick it can clean things up, you don't understand what I have. Like, it changes the world. Marie and I dated for a couple of years. She was really cool. She used to help me out with my business. Marie really wanted to have kids, and Marie did end up having kids, but with another guy. Marie broke up with me and went with the other guy. Here's Soka and Tiffany in the C5 Corvette, okay? And so this was all pre-2011. This is Marie again. And so after I broke up with Marie, she broke up with me, actually. And part of the reason why she wanted to have kids is she found a guy who liked her, who wanted to have kids with her. Part of it was I was flirting with other girls, and it was disrespectful towards Marie, I guess. But I just was, I don't know. I wasn't cheating on Marie, but she wanted to make sure she broke up with me before I ever did. I didn't cheat on girls. So then there was a girl who was younger because she was friends with my sister, and she had just graduated high school, and she didn't know what she was going to do with her life. And I'd known her forever. She wanted to come down and work for my business and be the secretary to my business. I was like, okay, cool. So she comes down, and she had a really cool personality, and she was a really happy person. And long story short, we ended up breaking up because she had a little bit of Native American in her, and so, alcohol takes a toll on them in South Florida. And I told her she couldn't drive around in my diesel Jettas drunk, and she kept doing it. And I finally that's what I snapped on her about that, and she's like, that's fine, we need to break up. I'm not happy anyway, blah, blah, blah. And granted, I think that at the time she definitely would have taken me back if I would have been more patient with the whole situation. But at the same token, I knew that we needed different people. So while I was dating her, we used to go out all the time, and I had a bunch of people working with me. And we used to go out every night. And I used to go, and my business that I had, I could tell you stories forever. I'll try not to do that. But I will say this. It's a story for another time. I had a bunch of the cocktail waitresses and bartender girls, not the dancers, but and there were some very gorgeous, well-kept dancers at Rachel's in West Palm Beach, because that's like the premier club at the time, especially. It was a very high-class place. I would go in there and eat dinner. My girlfriend and I, whoever I was dating, we'd go in there, we'd eat dinner. I didn't care about the girls dancing on stage. It was like, whatever. I would go in there, I'd find other guys who were wealthy, and they would join my business, what I was up to. And it was just, hang out on the boat during the day, go out to the sandbar, hang out with everybody on their boats. It was a really good life. And the family that I walked away from, my stepdad's family, after they quote unquote fired me, they fired me in, I don't know the exact year, maybe it was like 2009. And then I hung around for a couple years and just did I still would make money through the family business by bringing in business. Because I would just go out at night in Ohio and just pass out business cards and just recruit my own customers and bring them into the business and make sales and do whatever. And a lot of the employees liked me a lot. And there were certain employees who were very loyal to my family, and I didn't realize that my family, I understood, I felt the drift that my family wanted me out of there, like my stepdad wanted me out of there, but I didn't realize how much of my whole family wanted me out of there, and it was all about the stock. And it is what it is. Like I said, I didn't want the stock. I just wanted to, oh man, I'm gonna get a drink here, hang on. This is water, by the way, it's mountain water. Looks like I'm drinking beer, but I'm not. So after I dated my sister's friend for a while, she helped out with the business. We dated for a while. It was like for a year or two. After that, the girls at the club knew me. And so I started doing Airbnb. And coincidentally, these two Hungarian girls show up, and I'll see if I have any photos of them. I don't know that I do. And so the Hungarian girls, for most men's type, were, 10s. And I think it's because I have fair skin. I worry about my kids having fair skin because I like to be out in the sun. I don't want to get sunburnt. And so anyway, Let's see here. This is when the C7 Z06 was revealed at Barrett-Jackson in West Palm. And it used to be a really wholesome, I know it sounds like bullshit, but it used to be a really wholesome club of people, group of girls at Rachel's. So I'll just show you this photo, and I'm not trying to, okay. Like there's the two owner guys, and there's the girls, some of the girls. And that girl right up front, that's another story. But trying to see here what I got. I was doing my patents at this time. I was doing my business, and eventually I got into patents. I started working on my patents. So I'd go to the club, I'd come home, I'd work on the patents a little bit before I went to bed, and at this point it's like 3 a.m. Go to bed, wake up the next day at like noon, go eat a huge breakfast at this breakfast place that was and go kite surf in the afternoon, come back, take a shower, take a nap, wake up, and actually, okay, so with kite surfing, you gotta wait for wind. So while I'm waiting for wind, I would be working on my patent stuff. So, you know, here we are kite surfing. It's a kite surfing photo. So with my bad leg, I figured out that I could kite surf. So this is a British girl. And this girl was the only, let me make sure I'm not lying when I say this. This was the only dancer from the club who I ever dated. And she had a personality on her. I mean, her personality was an 11. And there's actually videos of this girl. I call her Miss British, okay? I don't know why it's not focusing. Anyhow. So Miss British had a personality on her, man. She was funny. She was tall. She was like 5'10", so she could put on heels and be taller than me, which was fine. I didn't care. And we had a good time together. I've uploaded some videos of her to YouTube recently. So that's Miss British. And we had a good time. I hate to talk about personal stuff about people, but she had a really cool personality. We were opposite end of the spectrums on intelligence. She was very linguistic and very fast and very quick and very, very funny, like sense of humor. And she did not understand technical stuff at all, which is fine. I don't hate a girl for not understanding technical stuff. She was a smart chick, and she had a really good build on her. She was really, you know, really well built, really long legs. And she would have married me also. She was from England, and she needed papers, and we had been dating long enough that once we had, so I'll just, substances, when people are into substances and they go one way to go do something because they have an addiction, that was the issue with her. And it wasn't a big deal, but it was kind of like when she would do something, she would get really rude and just kind of like, I mean nothing. And it's like, okay. And I don't think she expected me to stand my ground on everything. But this was Barrett-Jackson when the C7 Z06 was revealed. Okay, so I was there for that. And there was a bartender girl who was really just a sweetheart, and I never dated her. And I should have, but I was worried it wasn't going to work out, and I was worried we're going to break each other's hearts. There's certain people where I know I have a really good chemistry with. So the bartender girl there on the my left, your right maybe, I don't know. Anyway, the one that is at my hand, towards my hand, the one in the pink basically. She was a sweetheart. So I'll tell you a story about her. Rory McIlroy fell in love with her. And he didn't meet her at that club. She worked a bartender job somewhere else also. And she just had a gorgeous, gorgeous face. I mean, she was just really well put together. And so Rory McIlroy fell in love with her. And meanwhile, there was another girl who I don't have photos of, but she was like, all the other girls called her Superwoman because she was like 6 foot, 6'1", like just ridiculous girl from like Czech Republic area. And this girl used to live with me. By the way, I never finished out the story with the Hungarian girls. The Hungarian girls, once some of the bouncers and stuff at the club figured out that they were living with me, I said, look, I have an Airbnb. These people rented the place. I didn't know they were dancers. They got here. I figured it out after the fact. I had to talk with these girls. I'm like, you know, if you guys are, because they were going out at night and not coming home till like ridiculous hours. And I'm like, they're dancers. They're here to, you know, to make some money. So I, anyhow, it was like fishing. It was like once the other girls saw that you had the two Barbies living with you, like the two gorgeous girls, and that they were safe. And, you know, I'd come pick them up from work, bring them home, drive them to work, stuff like that. Once everybody realized that I wasn't a threat and the other girls talked to the Hungarian girls, they're like, is he a creep? Is he trying to sleep with you guys? No, he's doing his own thing, you know, he doesn't. And there for a while with the Hungarian girls, I was single, I want to say. The British girl was between the visits of the Hungarian girls. So the Hungarian girls came first, then it was the British girl who I dated. The Hungarian girls I never slept with, either one of them. And then, okay, so here's a freaking curveball. This chick's a supermodel. She's married, she's happily married. Let me find the other photos of her earlier on. Sandra Valencia. Okay, that's a whole nother story. She was after the British girl. And then I end up meeting the Russian. Here's another photo of Sandra Valencia. That's a long story, and I'm not going to get into that because it's disrespectful, because she married the guy that was around when I was around, so I'm not going to get into that story. This girl here was dating the owner of Rachel's. She was in the other photo up front when it was the group of people. And as soon as she, quote unquote, broke up with the owner, she was like wanting to go to the beach with me, because we used to always flirt and stuff in the club. She was just like a cocktail waitress. She wasn't a dancer. And she was from Colombia. I'll show you another photo over here real quick before I end this. Here's Carmen and Soka. Carmen's a whole other story also, okay? Never slept with Carmen, but slept next to her many times. It was like, it's a long story with her. But anyway, it's an entertaining story. So that girl that was dating the owner, she wanted to start dating me, and I wouldn't do it because I didn't want to get sideways with the club. I was so by me not sleeping with her and by me not sleeping with a lot of other girls who people knew I had the green light with, people started to think that I was a cop, is what I've realized. I didn't understand it at the time. And so they would serve me these raw chicken sandwiches. This is like the very end of it all, like how I got, quote unquote, kicked out of this club. They served me a raw chicken sandwich. And it's like, I'm not going to pay for a raw chicken sandwich. I told them, you guys got to cook this thing. Oh, kitchen's closed. Because I would order like right before close. So they served me this raw chicken sandwich, and then the kitchen's closed, okay? So I'm like, all right. So I eventually meet this Russian chick. And this Russian chick, I could kind of just sense that we came from the same page somehow. Like there was, it's like, it's so weird to say this. It's like I met my twin. And that might be very arrogant to say because this girl, I swear to God, for my tastes, and I'm not making this up, okay? By now I've shown you plenty of hot chicks, okay? Tons of, all these girls that I dated along the way, everybody's like, you need to marry her, you need to marry her, you need to, why aren't you sleeping with her? What the fuck are you doing? I was convinced that I was going to be releasing these websites and I was going to be a billionaire and that I was going to be able to pick from, some royal family's niece or something like that. Like I'm just being blunt. And it wasn't that it's like, oh, I deserve that. It's like, I just wanted to wait until I found a true connection with somebody. Like a really true connection. So I meet this Russian chick, right? And as soon as I saw her, and then as soon as I heard her voice, it was like, oh my God. Now, what's really interesting is I thought that she was a spy. Because I was writing all kinds of crazy shit all over Facebook all the time about, the Federal Reserve and what's going on with this. And you guys better get ready because things are about to go to shit in the next few years because the world leaders are going to do some crazy shit. Because I could just sense what was going on. I don't know how I can explain it, but I just could sense that the masses were oblivious, right? So there was another girl in there too that I never dated who was another reason why they started thinking I was a cop. Let me see if I can find a photo of her. I don't know if I have a photo of her. I think it's in my other account that I've pulled down. Yeah, I think it's in my other account that I pulled down. So anyway, the point is, there was another girl named Talia, and she was gorgeous. She was also from England. Okay, so here's the Russian girl when she only has blonde hair, which is not when she's her most attractive. And you can't tell it there, but she's every bit as tall as I am. She's 5'11". And this chick, I'll show you some photos in a second. But the point is, before her, there was another girl named Talia who was from Britain and was like olive skin, like an Italian girl. And Talia had the British accent and everything and was gorgeous. We were out on okay, so girls aren't supposed to go out on dates, with people from the club. It's like you can get charged with quote unquote prostitution or whatever it is. I don't know. We were all just hanging out. It was her and her friend, her other British friend. And there were three of them, but the third one was like off and away somewhere. The third one ended up being my roommate. She ended up coming back and being my roommate. It's a long story because people just knew they could trust me. But Talia, I always wanted to create like a YouTube channel kind of thing where it's like you make everybody guess, like, are you like in the CIA or whatever it is? And so I asked Talia, I said, have you ever wanted to be in the CIA? By the way, there's a bunch of black Corvettes in a garage all running to charge up their batteries, all with Tiger Shark front ends, all C5 Z06s. And there's the C6 Lingenfelter car. That was Bob Durso's car. He was dying of cancer. I bought that car off of him. I ended up putting a triple in-tank fuel pump system in it. It would only run 2 pumps at a time. I had the fuse underneath my seat to turn on the third pump. Here's what I looked like when I was a kid. Look at that little fucker. I was a good big brother. So anyway, back to this Russian girl. I loved the game of like fishing to, try to get the girl to go out with you or whatever. The Russian girl went with me to the beach the next day. Like, I asked her, I was like, here's another picture of me when I was a little kid. I was at the lake, got my little Snoopy life jacket on. The Russian girl, I asked her if she wanted to go to the beach with me the next day and go kite surfing. And she said yes. And I couldn't believe it, because I genuinely always knew in the back of my mind that one day I was gonna meet the girl. Like, the best thing that I can tell you the Russian girl reminded me of is, you remember the movie Goldeneye with Famke Janssen when she squeezes the guys to death with her legs? The Russian girl was like that. And when I would tell people that I'm gonna bring this girl and she's like the chick from Goldeneye, the people would go tell their friends after the fact, Brandon is dating the girl from Goldeneye. Which I never said. I never said that. I said she's like the chick from Goldeneye. But when people met her, she had such a presence that they were convinced that she was indeed the chick from Goldeneye. She was hotter than the chick from Goldeneye. There's Serena Williams in the background. She wanted to beat me up because I was taking my photo with her. I was being silly. I used to go out to all the clubs at West Palm Beach, like all the fancy restaurants on the island and everything. I used to go out all the time. And I worked at Bremen for a brief moment. That's the girl that was standing next to the bartender girl earlier. I never told you the rest of that story. Okay, so let me get back to that story. This will kind of put it all into perspective. So Brooks Koepka, who's a professional golfer, had fallen in love with the really tall Supergirl who was like from, I'll just say Czech Republic area, okay? She was my roommate, and that was a big secret, because that chick's actually married and she lives on the other side of Florida, and she would come over, but instead of get a hotel room, she became friends with the Hungarian girl. So she's like, fuck it, I'll just come stay at your house if that's cool. I was like, yeah. So she would only just come over for like a couple nights a week, and then she would go back over. Never slept with the chick, never even slept in the same bed. It was just friendship. Brooks Koepka was madly in love with this girl. He used to come into the club and spend collectively over $100,000 on this chick. So one day I get invited to go to the Honda Classic with the Hungarian girl and that girl. And so the Hungarian girl, who was the sharp one, they were like really good friends. So we all go to the Honda Classic together, and Brooks Koepka was paired off with Rory McIlroy. Brooks had already met me before because I was hanging out with her at the mall, and Brooks was at the mall, and he saw me with her, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing with that chump guy? I thought you're married and you won't go on a date with me. Like, the girl would not go on a date with Brooks. She was loyal to her husband. I never made passes at her or anything, but she wasn't my type. But we were friends. But she was loyal to her husband. And so when Brooks saw her with me, he's just like, what the fuck? So then Brooks and Rory are paired off. Well, Rory remembered me because when he was after the bartender girl who I told you about earlier, she and I had a really deep connection at that time, and I'd broken up with the other girl that I'd been with for a long time. And so now it was like she thought that it was like, because I would have dated. Well, then I find out it's me versus Rory McIlroy. Like, you can't make this shit up. And Rory's inviting her to go to Paris and all this other shit. And I said, you need to go. And I'm being genuine. Like, if I care about people, I want to see them happy. And I'm like, you need to go. Because kind of in the back of my mind, I'm like, odds of it working out are slim to none. And I don't want to stand in the way of her going with Rory. So I was like, you need to go with Rory. And she was trying to prove her allegiance to me, and she literally would not go out with him because she would sit there and tell me how she didn't like him, like his looks. And I'm like, who cares? You go on a date with Rory, and then, you meet the other golfers, and then okay. So anyway, right around the same time is when the Russian girl also came into the mix, like not long after. I think she came into the mix like right after the Honda Classic situation, which is a shame for the bartender girl because now I've got my sights set on this Russian chick, okay? So at the Honda Classic, when I see Rory and Brooks, they both knew who I was. Brooks knew who I was because here I am again with this girl that he wants to like divorce her husband and go with him. And Rory knew me. He's like sitting there doing his like Mr. Bean face, like looking at me. We all met up at a tee box while they're golfing. And they were the leaders. They were the paired two best people. I forget if they ended up winning or not, but I think I fucked up both their games. I'm not making this shit up. I walk up, Brooks was telling Rory, wait till you see this girl. Girl comes up, I'm with the girl, and I didn't show up until like kind of after the fact. Like I let her walk up there first because I was like, I don't want this to be drama. And then I finally like walk up there after the fact, and both him and Rory knew who I was, and they were talking about me. Because Rory's like, I know that guy too. He hangs out with the girl I like. So all these pro golfers think I'm like some sort of pimp or something. Here's my boat that I had at the time. I bought that in a blizzard up in New Jersey during a nor'easter. It's a long story, but I stole that thing because the guy's husband or the guy's wife wouldn't let him buy the next boat until he got rid of the first boat. So he's buying $1 million boat for $300,000. He was trying to sell his boat for 120. I ended up buying it for like 45. Like stole that fucking thing. It was immaculate. Engines ended up rusting out because I took it out on the ocean all the time. Anyway, before I get too far with this, all I'm going to tell you guys is life can get better. Okay, that's the moral of this video. And you say, well, Brandon, what the fuck have you been doing, man? Since I've been watching your channel, where's all the fucking hot chicks at? Now, granted, on the last channel, the Russian girl was on the show. Her face wasn't, but her voice was. When we were at the McLaren store, that was her. And with the Russian girl, she needed papers too. She wanted to stay in America. And I told her the very first day at the beach, when we got back in the car after the beach, she wore fucking nothing to the beach. It was the most string bikini I've ever seen in my fucking life. And this girl is built like, I'm telling you, she made the girl on GoldenEye look frail. Like this girl is something else. She's got a body on her. I'll see if I can't find a photo of her eventually here. But the point is, it's like the Three Bears and Goldilocks. This soup's too hot. This soup's too cold. This soup's just right. Or oatmeal, whatever it was. This bed's too hard. This bed's too soft. This bed's just right. There was something about this Russian chick in my heart where I'm like, this is just right. And she had a lot of ambition, and I'm like, good. She and I can like take over the world together. Like it was somebody where I knew I could go have dinner with Les Wexner and it would be a good time. I wouldn't be ashamed of her. At least I didn't think so at the time. I thought she was smart enough. And again, and I'm not for sure about this, so I don't want to like slander anybody. We ended up reconnecting later because she had this really rich Jewish dude who she could marry who was older. And I was still trying to get my patents done. I was in full steam on my patents. And I knew she wanted somebody who had money who could take care of her. She deserved it. She's the hottest girl I've ever seen in my life, guys. Like the hottest, like any movie star, any porn star, any freaking Victoria's Secret model, Tom Brady's wife, President Trump's wife. This girl to me was absolutely gorgeous. It didn't, for me and my taste, it just didn't get any better. I was completely content. I was like, hopefully one day, and my gut told me, it said one day you will have another chance with this girl. Because I ended up telling her on the very first date, because I knew that, and it wasn't even like a date, it was just, I took her to the beach. I was teaching her how to kite surf. flying the kite on the beach. And all she has on is this crazy string bikini, which I did not tell her to wear. And all the guys at the beach were just like, those guys at the beach were the people who started running around telling everybody that I was dating the chick from Goldeneye. Like, genuinely, they were telling everybody. They're like, Brandon he's dating the chick from Goldeneye. Like, they genuinely believed it was her. They didn't know it wasn't her. And I never said that it was. I called one of them ahead of time. I was like, are you going to the beach today? Maybe. I was like, you need to go to the beach today because I'm meeting with this girl, and I swear to God, she looks identical. Like, she's like the chick from Goldeneye. And I used the word like, but they thought I was just using the word like as like, throw it in my words, in my sentences. They thought I was just fumbling my words. So they took it and they ran with it. So anyway, this girl was something else to everybody. They liked her very much. So I found out that she had another guy in the running already. And I literally just out of nowhere, the most awkward fucking conversation, because I was like, this girl is a spy, because there's no way that the hottest girl that I've ever met in my life is willing to go to the beach with me and then come back to my place and take a shower. You don't understand how this was all going down. So at this point, there's, all kinds of gorgeous girls where I was always joking with people, I think this is a person's a spy. Are you a spy? Are you here to send a spy on me? Because I was having all these MI6 potential girls, all these really hot, gorgeous. Talia was very close. Talia was a notch below the Russian girl, but Talia was very cool. Talia was gorgeous. I'll see if I can't find photos of Talia eventually too. But the point is, they're on my other account, which I have shut down now. The Russian girl ends up marrying a dude for like 3 years and ends up ripping the guy's heart out. And I knew that was going to be me. And while she was dating him, she used to come, or while she was married to him, she used to come and just hang out with me randomly. And I've got some of those PDR files on the Corvette because I used to always have my PDR running and stuff. And I was like, I got to record this shit. I was like, I've got this girl. That way I could like re-listen to the conversations and figure out, is this chick a spy? Like, what the fuck is going on? Why is the hottest girl I've ever seen in my life hanging out with me? I've got a bad leg, guys, okay? I don't have a bunch of money at this time. And still at this point in my life, I got less money now than I did then. But the point is, it's unbelievable. I didn't believe it. But something in my heart said, like the universe, like that voice inside me that like gives me truth. It says, you are going to get a chance with this girl one day. Just let her go do her thing for a little bit. And that's exactly what happens. She married the guy. She was with him for a few years. Then she ends up dating some big 6'5" badass guy, 6'4", whatever. And so now she's with that guy. And I had left Florida and gone back up north to thinking that I could just hang out. See, I have family up north, like on my mom's side of the family that just has like farmhouses and stuff with plenty of bedrooms. And I was like, I can just go there and finish up my patents and focus and share this with my mom's side of the family. Because originally I wanted to share it with my stepdad's side of the family, and then just everything went haywire for no fucking reason. I'm not going to get into it, but it's just, things went ridiculously haywire with them. I'm trying to split a fucking thing that's worth billions of dollars, and they were being nasty, like, we don't want it. We don't want it unless we have full control of the company. And I'm like, you guys don't even understand how it works. It's like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to give you guys a cut and you're getting greedy, or else you think, and then they're insulting me saying it's no different than eBay. It's like, what are you guys talking about? So, and my stepdad passed away and just all kinds of drama. The will vanishes, the will's hidden, all kinds of shit, guys. So anyway, so I'm over at my mom's side of the family's place in farmhouses with no money, okay? Like, just getting my patents finished up, and doing work somebody's house was flooding when it would rain, so I had to dig this big deep trench and everything to make so their house wouldn't flood, and like install a tile kind of thing. And all of a sudden, that voice inside me that said that one day I'm gonna have a chance with that Russian girl, it said, you gotta call her. And I'm like, why? What if she says, yeah, I wanna see you? What, are we gonna come up, is she gonna come up here to the middle of fucking nowhere, to the hayfields? And, and at first for like a day, I pushed it off, maybe even longer. I just kept pushing it off. And there was just this thing inside me that says, you have to reach out to her. So finally, I forget if I shot her a text or if I called her, but we ended up talking on the phone eventually. And really long story short, we ended up talking on the phone for like an hour. And she's with like a 6'4" superstar kind of guy, gorgeous James Bond looking dude, also, South Florida Jewish guy, like has money. I'm going to skip ahead. She'd been meditating a whole bunch because she wanted to have kids with the guy. And apparently he didn't want to have any more kids or something along those lines. I forget what was going on. But she had been praying, meditating, I guess, about kids. And what I hit her with, the very first, I think I shot her a text message. I said, hey, I don't want to bother, or I didn't say I don't want to bother you. It was well put together, but it was also the most awkward, crazy fucking thing you'd ever read and say, that's not going to work. But it's what that inner voice told me to send to her, and I did. And and it basically said, hey, I've had you on my mind lately, and I just want to pay you a sincere compliment. I know that you and I are not, we never had anything. See, I knew if I slept with this chick, it'd be over. She would rip my heart out. So I was like, I got to get this fucking chick away from me. She's a spy. I was convinced she was a spy. And I was like, well, we're going to let some time go by and see how this marinates and see what's going on. Next thing you know, she's hanging out with me on Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving Eve and Thanksgiving Day. And it's like, where's your husband? Oh, he knows how I am. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, it's Thanksgiving. You're supposed to be with your husband. Like, why are you hanging out with me? But she's with me. And there was just something about her. There's a severe intelligence there, a severe intelligence. And her dad was very intelligent, city engineer. And she used to go listen to the, philosophy people, not philosophers, but not psychiatrists, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, back in Russia, like this girl, by the way, she can throw knives extremely well. She used to throw knives at the barn door when she was a kid because she loved Steven Seagal movies. And her dad taught her how to shoot a large gun when she was like 12 with her sister because he didn't have any boys. So these girls were raised like boys, and then they became like Victoria's Secret models. Like, it's just, this chick is a badass, and you can just sense it. She doesn't portray it. I throw knives, I'm a badass. She doesn't brag about this stuff. She's very polite, very civilized, very sophisticated. But I can see through people, and I knew that there was so much more there, and that's why I'm like, this girl is a fucking killer. She is a spy from Russia, is what I genuinely thought. So, and by the way, she's hung out with billionaires, and I could name off the billionaires that she's hung out with on her own accord. I didn't introduce them or anything. She hangs out with these billionaires and, goes on their yachts and stuff. So it's like, why is she hanging out with you, Brandon? Good question. So when we're hanging out the second time around, because I shot her this text message that basically says something along the lines of, I just want to pay you the compliment that out of all, because she knew that I'd hung out with a lot of beautiful girls, and the girls used to Airbnb my place and stuff, and whatever. Because she was my Facebook friend early on with her fake name, and which is another reason why I thought she was a spy. This girl's very private. You won't find her anywhere very easily. She's like a master of erasing herself off the internet. Spy, right? So